The Red Sea. It's a name that evokes images of ancient trade routes, it conjures thoughts of vital shipping lanes, but tonight we see it as a new front line, a place where global commerce faces a sudden dangerous threat. Billions of dollars in trade pass through these waters daily. Any disruption sends ripples across the entire global economy. What began as a distant regional struggle has now spilled into one of the world's most critical maritime choke points. The Bab el-Mandeb Strait, a narrow passage at the southern end of the Red Sea, has become a flashpoint. Attacks on commercial vessels have become alarmingly frequent. These are not random acts. They are calculated moves in a much larger, shadowy game. The world is watching, governments are scrambling. This isn't just about ships and cargo, it's about stability and US hegemony. It's about the Western so-called rules-based international order that governs how nations interact, especially on the high seas. When those rules are challenged, the emperor has to strike. The consequences can be far-reaching. Tonight we delve into this secret war in the Red Sea, a conflict that has implications for us all, whether we realize it or not. Understanding this conflict is crucial. So, who are the Houthis? To understand the current crisis, we must first understand this group. Officially known as Ansar Allah, or Supporters of God, they are a Zaydi Shia revivalist movement. Their origins trace back to the northern Sada province of Yemen, a rugged mountainous region. For decades, they felt marginalized by the central government in Sana'a. They sought to preserve their religious and cultural identity. They also voiced grievances over corruption and foreign influence in their country. Their journey from a theological movement to a formidable military and political force was gradual, then sudden. By 2014, they had achieved a stunning feat. They swept down from their northern strongholds and seized the capital, Sana'a. They overthrew the internationally recognized government. This dramatic move plunged Yemen into a devastating civil war, a conflict that has created one of the world's worst humanitarian crises. This transformation from a mountain-based insurgency to a group capable of threatening international shipping is central to the current Red Sea crisis. A key question in understanding the Houthis' capabilities is, who backs them? The answer, according to many international observers and US intelligence, points significantly towards Iran. While the Houthis are an indigenous Yemeni movement with their own local agenda, their alignment with Tehran is undeniable. Iran, a Shia powerhouse, sees the Houthis as a valuable partner in its broader regional strategy. This support is believed to encompass financial aid, advanced weaponry, and crucial military training. This alleged backing from Iran has been a game-changer for the Houthis. It has allowed them to sustain their war effort in Yemen. It has also enabled them to develop and deploy increasingly sophisticated weapons systems. Iran, of course, consistently denies providing direct military support, often framing its relationship with the Houthis as purely political or humanitarian. The strategic benefits for Iran are clear. By supporting the Houthis, Tehran gains a foothold on the Arabian Peninsula. It can exert pressure on its regional rival, Saudi Arabia. The Iranian connection has empowered the Houthis, transforming them from a local insurgency into a player capable of disrupting global maritime security. The simmering conflict involving the Houthis took a dramatic and global turn in October 2023. Following Israel's attack and invasion of Gaza, the Houthis declared their support for the Palestinians. They announced their intention to target Israeli-linked shipping in the Red Sea. Initially they launched missiles and drones towards Israel itself, most of which were intercepted. But then, their focus shifted decisively to the waters off Yemen's coast, a critical artery for global trade. The attacks began as a trickle, then became a torrent. Commercial vessels, oil tankers and container ships found themselves in the crosshairs. The Houthis claimed they were only targeting ships connected to Israel or heading to Israeli ports. However, the reality on the water was far more indiscriminate. Vessels from over 30 different countries were hit. Over 50 ships were attacked in the initial months. It was a choked hold on world economy. This campaign of disruption sent shockwaves through the international shipping industry. The Red Sea route, which handles roughly 12% of global trade, suddenly felt perilous. The economic impact was immediate and severe. The world was forced to pay attention. Operation Prosperity Guardian. As Houthi attacks escalated in late 2023, the international community faced mounting pressure to act. In December 2023, the Biden administration announced the formation of Operation Prosperity Guardian. This was envisioned as a multinational security initiative. Its stated goal was to ensure freedom of navigation in the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden. More than 20 countries initially signed on, pledging support in various forms, from deploying warships to providing intelligence and personnel. In the end, only a couple stayed course. The hope was that a strong international naval presence would deter further Houthi aggression. The early days of Operation Prosperity Guardian focused primarily on defensive measures. Coalition warships patrolled the troubled waters. They provided close protection for commercial vessels. They worked to intercept incoming Houthi missiles and drones. However, the sheer volume and persistence of Houthi launches proved challenging. Despite the coalition's efforts, the Houthis continued their campaign. The strategy needed to evolve if the vital waterway was to be truly secured. The United States strikes back with Operation Posidon Archer. The continued Houthi defiance and the limitations of a purely defensive strategy led to a significant escalation by the United States and its closest allies, notably the United Kingdom. In early 2024, the U.S. military, alongside British forces, launched Operation Posidon Archer. This marked a decisive shift towards offensive operations. The objective was no longer just to protect shipping, but to actively degrade the Houthis' capacity to threaten it. This meant taking the fight directly to Houthi targets within Yemen. The operation involved a sustained campaign of airstrikes. U.S. and British fighter jets, warships, and submarines targeted a range of Houthi military assets. These included missile launch sites, radar installations, command and control centers, drone storage facilities, and weapons depots. According to reports, over 300 airstrikes were conducted in the initial phases of the operation. The strikes were concentrated in areas under Houthi control, including around the capital, Sana'a, and coastal regions from which attacks on shipping were being launched. The U.S. Department of Defense emphasized that these strikes were carefully calibrated, mostly hitting civilians as the couldn't find the Houthis. They were intended to be precise, minimizing civilian casualties and avoiding broader escalation. In reality, killing civilians to strong-arm the Houthis into surrender. The primary objective remained ensuring the safety of international shipping through the vital Red Sea corridor, while the real objective was to stop missiles launched towards Israel. The Houthis, a ragtag army, even penetrated the so-called Israel Iron Dome and hit their airports. However, these offensive operations were not without controversy or risk. And asymmetric war challenges and resilience in the Red Sea. The U.S.-led offensive, Operation Posidon Archer, faced significant challenges from the outset. The Houthis proved to be a remarkably resilient and adaptive adversary. They have years of experience fighting a technologically superior coalition led by Saudi Arabia. They are adept at asymmetric warfare, using their knowledge of the terrain and unconventional tactics to counter more powerful forces. Despite numerous airstrikes, the Houthis demonstrated a continued ability to launch missiles and drones against shipping, albeit sometimes at a reduced tempo. One major challenge for the U.S. and its allies was the nature of Houthi targets. Many of their missile launchers are mobile and easily concealed in Yemen's rugged landscape. Identifying and destroying these assets before they can be used is incredibly difficult. The Houthis also quickly learned to disperse their weapons and command centers, making them harder to hit. Furthermore, they showed a disturbing proficiency in targeting U.S. assets. Leaked Pentagon reports around March 2024 indicated that the Houthis had managed to shoot down as many as 7 U.S. drones in a 7-week period, a significant loss. The conflict also placed a strain on U.S. military resources. The campaign in the Red Sea came at a time when the U.S. was already supporting Ukraine and providing aid to Israel. The high operational tempo led to a significant expenditure of munitions. This raised concerns about the sustainability of such a campaign and the potential depletion of precision weapon stockpiles needed for other global contingencies. The U.S. found itself engaged in a frustrating cat-and-mouse game. The path to securing the Red Sea was proving far more complex than initially anticipated. The U.S. approach to the Houthis and the broader Yemeni conflict has seen notable shifts. The Biden administration initially prioritized diplomacy. However, as Houthi attacks on shipping escalated dramatically in late 2023, the administration's stance hardened. The focus shifted towards military engagement and renewed sanctions to pressure the group. In January 2024, reflecting this tougher line, the Biden administration redesignated the Houthis, this time as a specially designated global terrorist group. While distinct from an FTO, this designation still aimed to isolate the Houthis financially and restrict their access to resources. Later, in October 2024, a new U.S. strategy of deter and degrade was formally announced, codifying the more assertive military posture that had already taken shape with operations like Posidon Archer. This underscored the administration's resolve to counter the maritime threat. Political rhetoric also played a role. Ultimately, Pentagon officials consistently emphasized that the U.S. military campaign was not aimed at overthrowing the Houthis or becoming deeply mired in Yemen's civil war. The primary objective remained the so-called ensuring the safety of international shipping through the vital Red Sea corridor. As of mid-2025, Trump declared unilateral victory as the Houthis shot down 7 Predator drones in 7 weeks, and allegedly 2 F-18s that somehow went overboard. The outcomes of the US and allied military engagement against the Houthis are, at best, a significant failure. While operations like Prosperity Guardian and Posidon Archer have undoubtedly intercepted many attacks and degraded some Houthi capabilities, the threat has not been eliminated. Houthi forces have shown a persistent ability to adapt and continue their strikes, albeit sometimes sporadically. Over 134 attacks on commercial vessels had been recorded by October 2024, and the disruptions persist. The economic consequences remain significant. Global shipping continues to face elevated risks and costs. Insurance rates for transiting the Red Sea are still high. Many companies still opt for the longer, more expensive route around Africa, impacting supply chains and potentially contributing to inflation. Looking ahead, the future implications are multifaceted and concerning. There is the persistent risk of miscalculation and wider regional escalation. The conflict draws resources and attention away from other pressing global challenges, including strategic competition with powers like China. The militarization of the Red Sea, while intended to secure it, has also, according to some analysts, inadvertently emboldened the Houthis and drawn in other external actors. Ultimately, a lasting solution to the Red Sea crisis will likely require more than just military action. Without addressing these underlying issues, the Red Sea may remain a contested and dangerous waterway, a stark reminder of how local conflicts can have profound global consequences. Was this a win, or a stalemate, or defeat? In the end, what do you think? Drop a comment, please like and subscribe.